Hi guys, welcome to Managing Innovation. I'm sorry we couldn't do this in a live kickoff session. Hopefully next week we'll have you guys with me live while we do this and recorded for those of you who can't make it. The purpose of this video is to tell you a little bit about me, to go ahead and give you a course overview, and to introduce you to Module 1. So let's get started. So first, a little bit about me. My name is Molly Wasco. I'm a professor of Management Information Systems here in the Collat School of Business. I'm also the department chair for Management Information Systems and Quantitative Methods. So I have been really interested in this idea of innovation for a long time because, as we've seen with technology and how rapidly it's been moving over the last 15 years, the organizations that haven't been able to keep up with the changes have actually disappeared. And so managing innovation is something that our organizations simply can't ignore anymore, and we need better trained managers out there who can help us make our organizations more innovative. So, what is this course about? This course is actually about innovation. It's not about entrepreneurship. So, it's not about how to start a business, or how to write a business plan, or how to get venture capital for your startup idea. The area of focus for this class is really around innovation. And when I say the word innovation, a lot of different types of images come to mind probably for you. You know, the light bulb, the great idea, the creative thinker. Um, but innovation's really tricky. So, what's the difference between innovation and creativity? What's the difference between innovation and discovery? What's the difference between innovation and new ideas? So, this whole idea around innovation, what it is and what it isn't, and how we can make more of it in our organizations is just a topic that has fascinated me. So, a lot of times we think innovation is similar to entrepreneurship. Typically, an entrepreneur, someone who starts a business, actually does so because they've come up with an innovation, but not necessarily. You have lots of entrepreneurs, small businesses that are providing services that replicate the services of existing organizations. So, just because it's an entrepreneur doesn't necessarily mean it's an innovation. And just because it's an innovation doesn't mean it has to be an entrepreneur. So the majority of the focus of this class is going to be how can we make our organizations more innovative? So not the single entrepreneur that is sitting out there by themselves, but how do we create this culture of innovation within organizations? And so we're really going to do a deep dive into this single question. Why are some organizations just so much better at innovating than other organizations? So when I think about an innovating organization, or I say, tell me an innovative organization, certainly a few come immediately to mind. And so we intuitively can tell the difference between this is an innovative organization and this is a bureaucratic organization. But innovation has to happen at multiple levels of analysis. So innovation first, it has to start with an individual. There has to be an innovator, a single person that comes up with a great idea. But what we've discovered about how to manage innovations, that while it's just sitting there with one single person, that it doesn't grow and flourish. That the next step in the innovation process is really how do we share that idea with a group? That the most successful innovations haven't come from this lone innovator out there on their own working in isolation, but it's really how does an idea start and then get nurtured by a diverse group of people who come at the idea from different points of thinking. And it's through this process of looking at an innovation from multiple points of view that you come up with even greater ideas. And then the next step is, well, how do you get the organization to actually accept the innovation coming out of this group? And this is another difficult step. So having an organization that has the ability to bring these new ideas to markets or to take new ideas and change existing operations, you've got to move it from the group group level or to the organization, or the innovation's going to die. And we see this over and over again in organizations where there's been a group of people at the organization who've had a fantastic idea, but the organization just wasn't able to do anything with it, so it killed it. So these are the types of issues we're going to look at throughout this class. Is we're going to look at the individual. What is an innovator? What is the difference between an innovator and all the rest of us? What makes somebody better at coming up with ideas while the rest of us are just really good at managing existing processes? Then we're going to look at, well, how do great ideas grow in groups? How do we nurture ideas and get them outside of just the mind of a single innovator and build on that idea within a creative group? And then we're going to look at, well, how do we get the entire organization to better manage the innovations and its own organizational creativity to bring new products and service to market? So here's an example of the type of thing that I'm interested in looking at. That's, what makes innovation interesting to me. So I did some work with AstraZeneca around, 10 years ago. AstraZeneca is a global pharmaceutical company, and truly, they are masters of innovation. So they have these teams of scientists working in labs spread all over the world trying to come up with the best new breakthrough drug. And so, from AstraZeneca's point of view, they have got some of the greatest innovators in the world. But one of the major problems they're faced with is, well, how do I get an idea that started off in Mexico with that group of scientists and get it over to Japan to that group of scientists so we're not constantly recreating the wheel? And so part of this problem is really, so here are folks over here in China. Hey, we've got this great idea. Even if China shares that idea with the folks over in the US and Mexico, that doesn't mean the folks over there are actually going to take it. This is the not invented here syndrome. So one of the impediments to innovation is the people in the US and Mexico may think, well, they're the brightest people in the company, and surely if this idea is coming out of China, it can't be nearly as good as the stuff that we're doing. So one of the problems AstraZeneca faces in their innovation process is how do they get their scientists not only to share ideas, but to accept the ideas of others. Another issue with AstraZeneca, it's not just how do we get the scientists to share ideas, but how do we get an idea to move along the pipeline from the very beginning of the innovation to an actual product or service that goes to market. So their scientists are all looking in petri dishes, they're in a bench lab, and they're trying to come up with what is a compound that might actually make a difference in this disease state. So once they discover that, though, that's just where the work begins. They have to take that compound and they have to find some way to distill it to make it into a drug that you can then put into mice or animal models, and then you have got to find a way to turn that into a pill that you can put into human models. Then after a few clinical studies, you actually have to then try and figure out, well, how are we going to turn this compound into billions of pills that we can sell globally? And so when you think about the complexity of that the knowledge has to not only start here, but it's got to transfer across these boundaries to get to here. And so innovation doesn't just occur at this step. You've got to figure out how can you get all of your diverse teams of people across your production line to share ideas. And of course, the greatest innovations are the ones that come from spanning these types of boundaries, getting ideas to go from one area to another area, from one, different group in the organization to another, but it's also the most difficult to do. So how do you get knowledge to grow across these boundaries? So this was the type of study I was doing and just types of problems I've been interested in the past 10 years, and kind of why I wanted to put this class together and make it part of the elective curriculum. How do we help companies better manage the innovations that they have so they can stay competitive in their industry? All right, so now I want to tell you a little bit about how the course is designed. And all of this is in the syllabus, so this is just, an overview of the syllabus, but you can find this find this specifically in the syllabus in the website. So the way the course is designed is there are 14 modules. That does not include spring break. 13 of those modules will have the exact same three things. There will be a discussion board, there will be a quiz, and there will be an assignment. One of those 14 modules will be your exam one. Also, during finals week, it's not an official module, but you will have your exam 2 during finals week. Exam 2 is not going to be comprehensive, so it'll just be the content that you've learned from exam 1. All right, key dates that you need to know every single week. Friday by midnight, literally by 11:59 p.m., you have to post at least your initial response in the discussion board. So the way I've set up the discussion boards is no one can see what anybody posts until you actually go ahead and do your posts. So it's not going to be this situation where you get into the discussion forum and, well, everybody's already talked about what a great idea this was. I want all of you guys to come up with your own answer to the seed response and then have an opportunity to post it without worrying about, well, somebody already said this. Then the other thing you have to do Friday at midnight is take the quiz. You're going to have a quiz every single week that encompasses the readings or the videos or the kickoff meetings. That also has to be done by Friday at midnight. Your next deadline is Sunday at midnight. You need to go in and finish the discussion board. So expectations for the discussion is that you'll spend about an hour a week in there. Look at what other people have responded. Is it similar to what you came up with? Is it different? Can you build on it? Can you bring in new ideas? But I expect the discussion board to be highly interactive and engaged with you guys out there a significant amount of time. So in terms of grading expectations, you want to be out there at least 5 times across 2 different times during the week, posting, adding value. The other thing that you have to do Sunday by midnight is turn in the assignment. Every week, or for the 13 modules where there is one, there's also going to be an assignment that's individual work. So some keys to success for the class. So hints on the quizzes. The quizzes are individual work only. That they're open note, open book, open internet. You can use whatever materials you want, but it can only be you in isolation. You cannot work next to somebody taking the quiz. You cannot copy questions and then give them to somebody else. You cannot answer questions for people about the quiz. It has to be individual work only. The quizzes are going to be timed, so don't rely too heavily on your notes or readings because you won't have time to go back and look everything up. So you want to make sure that you do all of your readings first, you're familiar with them, you've taken some notes, and then go ahead and try the quiz. Keep in mind that all of the materials are eligible for quiz materials. So that includes our kickoff sessions that we'll have on Mondays. It'll include all of the readings and all of the content in the videos. The way I've tried to structure each module is that you'll have a reading, but you'll also have a video. Most of these videos, actually all of these videos, are the authors of the articles talking about implications or other types of TED Talks that help expand on the information. So they're not just videos of me talking. They're actually really well done videos from the best and brightest out there in the field. In terms of time management, my expectation is that you guys will put in about 10 hours per week. So the kickoff session that we have on Mondays, that'll take about an hour. You guys are welcome to join me live or view it recorded later. In order to do the readings, the assigned readings and videos, I expect that to take about an hour too. I've tried to moderate it so it's not overwhelming. Being engaged in discussion in the discussion board with others, I think that should take about an hour each week. And then the other 7 hours, I think coming up with this initial discussion response and then doing your assignment, those will take about 7 hours. So this is not something that you can just knock out in a single night. The expectation is that you'll do your reading, you'll start on your discussion, you'll take your quiz, and then you'll finish up your assignment a couple of days throughout the week. One thing you gotta know, I'm not taking any late assignments, and there aren't going to be any makeup exams. So, what you really need to know, you can't wait until Sunday to knock it all out. That's just not going to work. So, expect, 2 hours, 3 to 5 days a week. I don't take late anything and I don't give makeup exams, but the course is designed to be pretty forgiving. There's about 6% of extra credit padding, so even if you miss an entire week, an entire quiz, discussion, assignment, there's enough additional points in there that you can make it up. So that's why I don't manage the late stuff, but there's enough points in there that even if you miss something, it's not the end of the world. Another thing that you can do is you can work ahead. So right now I have Module 1 up, but by the start of Module 2, you will have the rest of the class out there and available. I just wanted to make sure everybody was kind of corralled in the same place for the first week. So if you know that you're going to have a week that's going to be really bad at work, or you're going to have 4 exams in your other classes, you can go ahead and knock out at least your initial seed discussion and your assignment ahead of time. There is no group work in this class, so all of your graded assignments, graded components are going to be based on individual level efforts, but I don't want you to think that you're going to be out there working in isolation. It's not that kind of class. It's not designed to be that way. So even though it's all individual work, there's going to be lots of interaction and engagement online. So now I'm going to take you to go look at the actual course. All right, so when you log in, here's the home page. And so for those of you who have never taken an online course, please start with assessing your readiness for online learning and then read the student tips for success. You'll also want to watch the Canvas overview video to see how you navigate in Canvas, and then here's access to additional Canvas guides. If you guys have already done that, then you can skip down to here. You want to review the course syllabus. So you can either click here to get the course syllabus, or the syllabus is up here. You want to complete the items first in getting started, so this module here, and then you will begin Module 1. Every week I'm going to start off with an announcement, so it'll give you an idea, here's what's coming up this week. So anything unusual, just to say hi, welcome you into the module. Back to home for getting started. So, virtual office hour instructions. So we'll have a kickoff meeting every Monday at 4:30. Also, if you need to meet me outside of that, either before or after 4:30 on Mondays is a really good time for me, or you can just send me an email and we'll set up a separate time and a separate way of communication. So you guys are going to have access to an online meeting system called GoToMeeting. Hopefully you've already had access. I'm having trouble getting my account set up, but hope to have that done in the next day or so. So even if you wanted to use GoToMeeting, if you wanted to use, cell phones, if you want to use Skype, all of those things can be accommodated. The other thing in the getting started is to go out to the introduce yourself discussion. And so, first of all, I want you to attach a picture to your profile so we can see who you are. If you don't have one yet and you don't know how to do it, all you got to do is click on your name. Mine says test student because I have a different view as the professor, but click on your name. It'll bring up a profile page, and if you click on that picture icon, it'll say, do you want to upload a picture? I want you to answer, where are you from? Where are you in the order of siblings? And what was the best thing that happened over winter break for you? So once you've done those two things, come back to the modules and go ahead and get started in Module 1. So this week for Module 1, we're going to look at What is innovation at the individual level? What is an innovator? And so for this week, you have one reading. It's called The Innovator's DNA. All you have to do is click on this and open up the PDF. That's another thing I should mention. I think you guys I've sent it in emails, but there are no external resources that you need for the class. There's no textbook, there's nothing you need to purchase. Everything for this class you'll be able to find inside our Canvas module or freely available on the web as you go out and do your own independent research. So read the article by clicking on the image below, and then there's a TED Talk by David Kelly about how to create your own or how to build your own creative confidence. So when you're done with those two things, you're ready to move on. So the first thing will be the discussion board. So for the discussion board, there's two components to this. So first of all, I want you to answer the question, what is innovation? How is innovation different from concepts like invention and creativity? And do you think we can really manage innovation? The second component to this is going to be harder for many of you. I want you to actually create a picture of innovation. I don't care how you create the picture, other than you cannot copy and paste somebody else's picture, but you can sit down with a pencil and paper and draw something. You can use PowerPoint and build images. You can take photos of things and mash them up. But in the end, I want you to upload a picture of something that conveys the idea of innovation that's original work by you. The only thing you can't do is, one, copy somebody else's, and two, you can't include the word innovation. And so things that are done really well, if I can look at the picture and I can say, wow, that's innovation, that's what I'm looking for. So when you're done with that, go on, take your quiz. So the quizzes, there are 10 questions. They're worth 10 points each, and it's timed at 12 minutes. Once again, you don't need Respondus lockdown or anything like that. But you must work individually. That is my expectation. This must be done Friday at midnight. And then finally, you have an assignment. So for the assignment, I have a link here to a Forbes article, and this is really short, guys. It's a blog, so it's going to take you 7 minutes to read. But I want you to read the personalities of innovators and think about what type of innovator are you. And then coming back to the video, I want you to think about, have you opted out of thinking of yourself as creative? Why or why not? And then rate yourself on the discovery skills that we read about in the Innovator's DNA, and then come up with 3 practical things that you can do to build your own discovery skills. So in terms of this, here are the instructions. I'm looking at single space, 12-point font, less than 2 pages. And then when you submit the assignment up here, these are going to be Turnitin assignments. So what I'm really interested in is that this is your original work. As soon as you turn it in, you will be able to see your own Turnitin score. So you can pull it down and decide you want to change it, edit, whatever. Just make sure that your final version is up there by Sunday at midnight. Then we have a wrap up, so just a short page on here's the wrap up, and you'll be ready to move on to Module 2. So anyway, I wish I had been able to do this live with you so I could see you and answer questions in person. If you have additional questions, please check out the discussion forum. So we have up here pinned discussions. These stay here all the time. So great additional resources. As you guys go out there and do your own independent research, you're going to come across all kinds of fabulous things. Here's where you can come back and share them with the class. Introduce yourself. That was part of getting started. But this way we can refer back to it and see the folks that we're actually engaged with in the discussion board. And then there's a frequently asked questions. I would like if possible, most of the questions to come here into this discussion forum, because that way, if you have a question, chances are pretty good that somebody else has the question, or maybe it's already been answered. So this is the first place to go. Put it up there, and I will make sure that I respond within 24 hours. So that's it. Welcome again, and I look forward to working with you the rest of the semester. Thanks. Bye.